Hi, gang. How are we? Good? Thumbs up, that's what we want. What day is it? No, seriously. Wednesday. Hump day. It's a good day to be out. Tuesday. Also great day. My favourite, in fact. Okay. Shall we go? Good evening, gang, to the Royal Television Society's Anatomy of a Hit, which dissects some of the country's most beloved television programmes and gives audiences an exclusive behind-the-scenes looks at what it takes to build one of these juggernauts. I'm Angela Scanlon. I'm the host of The Apprentice, Unfinished Business, and tonight we will celebrate one of the UK's most successful modern factual entertainment series as it prepares to air its final episode on Thursday from the landmark 20th series. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Anatomy of a Hit, The Apprentice edition. It didn't disappoint, did it? For Series 20, The Apprentice has delivered some absolutely unforgettable candidates, high-stakes tasks, iconic television moments that have become part of UK television history. But bringing those moments together, you know, it's not accidental. It takes incredible on-screen talent and an army of very clever creatives whose skills help to keep millions of viewers tuned in and hooked year after year after year, decade after decade. On the panel tonight, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome Director of Programmes at Naked, the production company behind The Apprentice, Paul Broadbent, who has managed to help shape the show for the last decade. Consultant Executive Producer Francesca Maudslay, who has been across the show since its early days. We've also got trusted aid to Lord Sugar for an incredible 15 series. Baroness Brady is in the house. And series winner, turned Lord Sugar's right-hand man, Tim Campbell. But before we get stuck in, we've got a little note from somebody. Hold tight, Ant. Shall we give a round of applause, please, for our formidable four? Please join us on stage. Paul, Francesca, Baroness Brady and Tim Campbell. Okay. The boss man couldn't be here, but we've got a few words from him.
Welcome to the Royal Television Society Anatomy of a Hit, celebrating 20 years of The Apprentice. I'm sorry I couldn't be there today, but I've got some pressing business to attend to. Over the last 2 decades, I've seen some very big personalities, big talkers, and some candidates who couldn't even organise a tea break. So enjoy the event and listen carefully, because if you don't pay attention, you're fired.
The most exciting thing for me about that is the cardigan. Honestly, and we've got an exclusive tomorrow on Unfinished Business, an interview with Lord Sugar in said cardigan. You're not going to want to miss it. Straight after the main show. That's my bit done now. Okay, we're going to divide up our panel discussion this evening into 4 categories, with the first one looking at legacy and longevity of The Apprentice. To whet your palate, let's have a look at some of the most memorable moments over the last 20 years.
Be under no illusion that this remains one of the toughest processes around.
I don't need Lord Sugar. Lord Sugar needs me.
I was personally taught by Desmond Tutu and Dalai Lama.
I am going to create a legacy that reverberates through time.
When it comes to bullshit, I've got natural immunity.
Run like hell to sell those ukuleles.
Let's go.
Keep going, keep going.
To infinity and beyond!
We are screwed.
All we need to do is impress them.
Time is ticking.
We were looking like complete prats.
Dance in your pants, dance in your pants.
Yes, let's keep the energy high.
Yes, Baroness Brady!
Screw on, like so.
Look where you've got the bloody thing resting on.
That was amazing.
Make a decision. Make a decision.
I can sense a bit of friction, actually. Dan, was that on you?
So, no.
I'm talking then.
Your boss. You're nothing to me.
I am here for you.
I'm quite happy to fire you, Paul, if you are going to take this kind of...
Oh, fuck off.
Talk.
You can't fucking fire me.
Are you having a laugh or what? This product is garbage.
I'm not a one-trick pony, I'm not a 10-trick pony. I've got a field of ponies waiting to run towards this.
There's no VAR in here. I make the final decision.
I don't want to see your face anymore.
You're fired.
I mean, some of the best accidental comedy moments of a generation, arguably. Francesca, you've worked on The Apprentice since 2008. What is it that you think, has contributed, has created the enduring success?
Well, I think when it started, it was picking up on a zeitgeist. It's not a coincidence, I think, that we started at the same time as Dragon's Den. Business was having its moment, much the same as property might do, or food or baking or whatever. So I think at the time it was picking up on a zeitgeist that people were interested in. But I think what's kept it such a hit and means that it's endured is the fact it keeps evolving, and it's always reflecting the business culture that's out there, and it's always sort of striving to evolve and change with the viewers who are watching it.
And how has it evolved, Paul, in like real terms from a viewer's perspective?
I think what people don't probably appreciate is that all the tasks are based around real world business models, and what we were able to do 20 years ago compared to now is totally different. So we go into the world of 3D printing. So what we can 3D print now in 24 hours for the candidates is incredible, whether we 3D print toothbrushes or lunch boxes or whatever it might be. And also the world of tech, in the last few years, and particularly on this series, we went into the world of gamified fitness, which is a new... Iconic. And it's a new world. It's a new territory. It's a new business. And so we're always trying to tap in to what's happening now and kind of not resting on our laurels and moving with the times, moving with the way business is going. So that's what we're constantly doing. And it might even be food trends, whether it's bao buns or whatever. We're kind of moving along with the times.
Is there a thing, and this is probably difficult over 2 decades, but is there a thing that you're most proud of when you look back at what you've achieved?
I would say the fact that the show still captures the imagination of audiences that other shows do not. So for us, the 16 to 34 audience is huge. In TV now, it's huge. And everybody says, that that audience is not watching TV, but they watch The Apprentice, and it's difficult to know why we kind of tap into that. But I think it's to do with business. I think it's to do with great characters. I think it's to do with Lord Sugar and the superb aids that we've got. So I think that's why I'm most proud. After 20 years, we've still got a young audience who are coming to the show, which is great.
And it does feel like, business, as you said, Francesca, was of the moment or felt of the moment 20 years ago. It almost feels like we're back at another moment where it's different, Tim, different from 20 years ago, Series 1. But there is still an appetite. It feels like it's very zeitgeist to want to run a business. How different is Series 1 from Series 20?
Well, I don't think it should be a surprise. I think when you look at the stats, young people, 16 to 30-year-olds, over 60% of them want to start their own business. It's a common thing for them to think about having a side hustle or some other additional revenue stream. And the thing I love still so much about The Apprentice now is that it's one of the only shows that I know that people come up to me and say that young people and old people watch it together. When there's so much separation between generations, actually young people sitting with their parents saying what they would do, and the more experienced parents saying this is how I would do it, that's something I think should really be celebrated, because when family is at the heart of everybody's community, or it should be, having a television show where they can actually actively come around and engage on the same level, I think that's really important. The obvious things that have changed is I won a job where these young people now are winning the opportunity to seek investment from Lord Sugar and his mentorship, which is actually probably more important. But I think the same thing comes from the year 1 to where we are now with Series 20, is that we often talk about the American dream. The reality is that we have a very strong UK strong dream where one decision, one opportunity can change your life. And for all of our winners who have come through, that has fundamentally changed the trajectory of their life. And I think that's what most of us are keen to see. Beside the car crashes, seeing some of the things that happen, actually, somebody who starts at the beginning, we don't know who that person's going to be, is having their life fundamentally changed by the decision to actually put that application form in. And that's a wonderful thing, I think.
You know what I think is also a wonderful thing? I mean, that idea that people come up and everyone wants a side hustle. There's something about The Apprentice. We all want to escape, right? And telly, for many people now, is escape. There's something in The Apprentice, and I don't think it's accidental that the audience is 16 to 34 is so strong, because people see themselves and they think, oh, actually, I can do that. I can do a side hustle. And I think it's because they've identified with characters over the years or in a single year and then gone, I can actually change my own life, which is kind of amazing to be able to create something that allows us to be infinitely entertained, but also actually affects how people viewing it think about their own opportunities. I think
I had a dream, and it sounds so cliche, but my mum bought me an Amstrad 464 computer, right? And for those old enough who remember the tape loading cassette or typing in the code, everything, right? But my mum sacrificed to be able to give me that gift. And I understood how much she put into that. But I also wanted to meet the person who created that. And I could never have imagined that young boy in East London would one day get the opportunity to work with the gentleman who created that, one of the UK's most successful entrepreneurs. And that's the bit about the show. It's like, yes, it is a bit of an escapism because you can dream, you can imagine what you do or how much better you'd be than some of the candidates and what they go through. But the reality is that people have taken the opportunity to apply for the show and change their life for the better. Yeah. And you see the candidates who come out the other side, they are real people with real businesses. Lord Sugar's invested in real money. And I think the connection between reality, TV, and reality is what The Apprentice does so well, because it's one of the few things that actually marries those two things together.
And also, just to your point, I think, and Karen and Tim know this much better than I do, but I think the final this week is made up of two really impressive young women, you know, and Pasha is just 21 years old, and Karishma, I think, is 25. And for them to look at The Apprentice and look at Lord Sugar, and you know, they're always blown away by these two on the ground and kind of the advice that they're giving. But for them to feel like The Apprentice is the place for them to come to change their lives makes it feel really relevant still now, which I think is testament to the show and Lord Sugar, actually, in terms of what he can offer in terms of that £250,000 investment and the mentorship
and his investment on every level, I
exactly.
think. In terms of relevancy, how does the show remain relevant for another 20 years?
Karen, you've got another 20 years to go. So.
20 minutes, maybe. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for inviting us here tonight. It's a real pleasure to be here to share some of our thoughts and favourite moments of the show and tell you a little bit about the secrets that happen behind the scenes that you may not know. I think the reason this show is so popular and will remain popular is that it's so authentic. There's no gimmicks, there's no retakes, there's no setting up anyone or anything. What you watch is what happens. It naturally unfolds exactly as you see it, exactly as Tim and I witness it. And that's why I think people like it. I think Tim's right, there's a natural curiosity about business. Everybody wants to own their, well, not everybody, but the people that have a natural entrepreneurial flair want to have a go at something, and they want to see how is marketing done? How is innovation done? How is sales done? How do you resolve problems? How do you get on with people? All of those lessons come through. But the reason the show is so popular is it's just so authentic. And we haven't had to resort to gimmicks or, you know, more lights, more dancers, more stars, you know, whatever. We
love those too.
In a different show, there's a place for them. But Lord Sugar says, your task this week is to do X, and off they go and do X. And as the viewer is watching it, is exactly how it happens.
And I think authenticity is something people feel now. The viewers are so savvy. They know the nuts and bolts. They know, production tricks. They need to feel like they can trust it, right? Throughout the evening, gang, we are going to look at some of the favourite moments. You've seen a couple already. Francesca, before we play yours, please tell us a little bit about why you've chosen this particular one.
Okay, so it's good timing because I think this clip speaks absolutely to that authenticity that Karen's talking about. Because sometimes on the ground, we cannot quite believe the things that unfold in front of us. And
you couldn't write them.
Sometimes we are watching it absolutely as viewers. We may as well have biscuits on the sofa. We are stunned at what happens. And so this clip is one of those moments from a task I worked on a long time ago where we just could not believe what unfolded. And it also speaks to the testament of how hard we work on casting, because of course our amazing candidates are at the heart of what makes it such good viewing. So I think it's a good example of both those things.
Hit it, Ant.
Trafalgar Square, top location for tourists. Time to do battle.
Mrs. Lovett's morbid meat pie shop, where she then put his victims into meat pies.
Look at Chris sliming away with those girls.
So our tour guide's really funny. He's got a good knowledge of London, but he makes it a really good laugh for you. Does it sound like something you guys might be interested in doing today? It's £25.
Hey, Stuart, can you get off our pitch, please?
This is all of our pitch now.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You'll also get to see the oldest...
Hi ladies, sorry to hassle you, but we would do it for £5 cheaper, the exact same
Can you
tour.
just ignore this?
These idiots, they're just amateurs, frankly. This is actually...
We're not doing it at all. Yeah, it's okay.
Hi guys, can I trust you on a tour today?
What the hell is going on?
Oh, seriously, fuck off.
No, seriously, you fuck off. This is our pitch. This is our
not.
Yes,
this
is
the
our
North area.
Well, go on, hit me then.
I'm not going to hit you. I'm just saying to get off the fucking
Your mouth off. Your mouth off.
Fuck off down there.
That's professional, isn't it?
Just ignore him. It's not worth it. It's just obviously they're nervous.
Seems a bit weak if you've got to swear a lot, you know? Doesn't seem very professional. Never mind.
It was a good day.
Oh my God. So what makes then a great candidate, and has that changed over the years?
I mean, I think for me, it's the candidates who come in and just throw themselves into the process. Because I think if you start to second guess, or to Karen's point, if you start to wonder whether this is an authentic process or whatever, I think you can go around in circles and circles, and you can kind of step back a bit, and ultimately you don't appear in the show. I mean, that's the kind of that's what happens. And so for us, when people come in and they are their authentic selves, and they get stuck in, it means that we get great characters. We love getting the superb stories, and we're able to enjoy them in these, business tasks that we put together. And sometimes they flourish and sometimes they fall. But I think if they roll their sleeves up and get stuck in, it's brilliant. And obviously these two, watch them on a day-to-day basis, which must be, you must have the best time ever.
Up close and personal.
Yeah.
I was on that bus tour. It was crap.
Which one? Stuart's right. It was crap. Karen, you alluded to it earlier on. It is, it's an MBA for these candidates, really. And they get stuck into, it's business challenges day in, day out. And the tasks are designed to push the candidates to their limits so that we see both highs and lows. But ultimately, it is about business acumen.
Yeah. I mean, look, the whole process is designed for Lord Sugar to work out that if he actually gives them the money and he actually goes into business with them, can they do the marketing? Can they do the selling? Can they think on their feet? Can they be innovative? Can they be creative? Can they resolve problems? Every task is designed to test a business skill, negotiation, sales, pitching, et cetera, et cetera. So the tasks are designed to test their skills, to see how they cope, so he can whittle down to hone in on the final two that he wants to select from. Because, you know, for us, when the show's finished, we're bye and off we go. He's genuinely gone into business with a candidate, and that's the other thing that makes this show so unique. You don't win a trophy. You win a life-changing opportunity. And for everyone who enters this process, that's what they want. They don't want to be on the TV. They want to be in business with him. They want the £250,000, which, by the way, comes out of his pocket. Mm-hmm. And they want to start to build and see their business idea come to fruition, or the business they're already running supercharged, or the idea they have, you know, be started. That's what they want, and that is what they get with great success from previous candidates.
And that's what we see on the telly. Paul, Francesca, from a casting perspective in the age of social media and everybody wanting to be an influencer, has that helped or hindered the casting process?
I mean, I think you'll see in the Series 20 cast, we have people from all walks of life. You know, we had candidates this year from the corporate world. We had people who run startups. We've got people from all walks of life, including, you know, major traditional corporate jobs, someone from PricewaterhouseCoopers, you know. But we also have people who are incredibly successful in the digital space, and we're mad if we don't think that that reflects the current world of business. You know, if we look at some of the most impressive young self-made people out there, they come from the digital space. You know, look at a Molly May or people from, you know,
Mr. Beast.
Yeah, who have come up through social media. And so it's absolutely appropriate that a business show should reflect people who are working in that space very successfully. And if you look at our finalists, you know, Karishma is somebody who's a very successful social media.
That's her space.
That's her space. Yeah. Pasha too, I believe.
Not shy on social
Exactly. And so it's appropriate that a business show should reflect that that is the current environment in business.
I think it's really interesting because you get a lot of people who may look down on individuals who have a social media following, and the first thing you hear is that, oh, they're only in it because they want to be famous. But let's be clear, we're in a digital age where the new currency is attention. And in order to sell products, you have individuals who are very successful. Look at Shaquille O'Neal, for example. His whole business is about selling his brand and associating with products. The more people know who he is, the more products he sells. And that works for lots of different people, from David Beckham to a whole range of individuals. So I think we've got to move with the times. The reality is that the digital age is here. That's not going to go away anytime soon.
And personal brand
is a huge part of that. And just like we're talking about things developing, the show has developed to incorporate those things in there. So you've seen on some of the tasks, TikTok has been a big part of what we've been doing in terms of engaging as an audience. Think about the multi-million pound individuals now who had to set up a TikTok shop one day and be a very successful business the next. We should be embracing that, and I'm glad to see the show is.
Yeah.
And just to that point, I think we were talking earlier, and you know, this is a business boot camp. Right, for the candidates. And so we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't enter in the world of TikTok with Big Zoo, you know, and we're kind of, they're selling and they're promoting their bits and pieces, but at the same time, if we're throwing them water.
Yeah, I got carried away there, bits and pieces. I was wondering where you're going. Yeah,
water, bits and pieces. Or we end up in a world of, like, you know, chicken and egg, which was a manufacturing task we did this year. And some people say, you know, why are they in a kitchen making chicken and egg and pasta and whatever? But it's not just about that. Lord Sugar's. He sold the lemonade, he'll tell you, and he did this and he did that. So he wants to know whether people can roll their sleeves up and get stuck in. It's not about being a professional in terms of the kitchen, because as well as that, it's about cost price, it's about profit, it's about margins, like all that stuff within a chicken and egg task. He's testing them in different ways, and the same as the TikTok tasks, the same as the technology. So with the cast and the candidates, if we marry that right with the tasks that we do, then we should end up in a place where we are moving with the times and moving with the business world and the different spaces in which the candidates are in, to hopefully reflect, you know, the world, the UK as it is today. That's the aim, anyway.
Can we just say, God rest Stuart Baggs as well, because as one of the greatest candidates to come out in terms of legacy and lines, unfortunately passed away, but his memory will always be encapsulated in how tenacious he was and how amusing he was in business, right? So it's great that you picked him as a thing, because that's a great testament to him and his legacy.
Absolutely. Speaking of moving with the times, women, we get to do things like business now. Posting, all that sort of stuff. It's apparently going to catch as well. 2 female finalists, very strong candidates without giving too much away, Pasha and Karishma. Why, Baroness Brady, do you think that they deserve Lord Sugar's investment?
Well, I think they were both exceptional. What do you have to think about? And I would also say this, it's a great testament to the show that there will now be more female winners than men. So I think that is incredibly important message about a little bit more than equality, which is what us women are always after. But I think it's great testament to the show that so many great candidates come through. But they're both exceptional young women. They're both very ambitious. They both have a good business idea. But one of the things you have to remember about the process is, as an investor in a business, if you are looking at this from an investor point of view, so put yourself in Alan's shoes for a second, you mainly invest in the person rather than the actual physical business. Do you think to yourself, can I work with this person? Can I help this person? Can I drive this person to deliver the business they want for themselves? Would we be a good fit? And he likes people that are tenacious, driven, ambitious, honest, loyal, quick to learn, want to learn, have a good idea, but will roll up their sleeves and go and do it. And that's back to Paul's point, why the chicken and egg task is important. Can they get up at 3:00 in the morning? Can they have the energy to still be going at 10 o'clock at night? Are they really throwing themselves into this? Because he doesn't want to waste his time or his money on somebody who doesn't. So that's why I think these two very special young women, and there can only be one winner. But I'm sure the winner will be much deserved, and I'm sure the other one will go on to do great things as well.
No doubt.
And also, just before you move on, just a slight spoiler. I think it's fair to say that the 2 pictures, and I know Lord Sugar felt like this, but the 2 pictures are 2 of the best, I think, that we've had in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's testament to the 2 of them that they did such a brilliant job.
And so young.
Yeah.
And so young.
And in a big room, a big room of personalities and Apprentice alumni, not phased or intimidated by it at all.
And industry experts. I mean, you're doing a presentation in front of 150 people, all who are experts in your field, knowing you're going to face a grilling from them, not only with Lord Sugar being there as well. Yeah. It's a big, big moment.
Listen, we talk so negatively sometimes about the next generation of young people, and we've got a 21-year-old and a 25 or 28? 25-year-old who are exemplary examples of what I know I'd want my children to be. Dedicated, driven, like you said, and actually doing something positive with their lives around creating a legacy for not just their families, because Karishma's talks about changing her family, Pasha's talked about wanting to grow her own business and make a difference for hers, but actually look at all the young women who are going to look at that and say, I could do that. Yep. That's massive, right? Because I think you've always talked so passionately about if more women started businesses at the same rate as men, the billions that would be added to our economy would be unbelievable. But rather than just saying the words, we've got a television show that through an independent, meritocratic, thank you. When you got a lisp, you say all kind of... Anyway, we won't move on from that. Actually, when the process is fair and laid out and it's clear what the boundaries are, women can continuously do better than men. That's really interesting to see as an example.
It is. Paul?
Yeah, yes.
Favourite moment of the 20 series?
So I love my job and I feel very, very privileged to be doing it. And this is one of those moments where you will have all sat there at some point and said and shouted at the telly and said, why can you not see this? Why can you not see this? And this is an example of what happens when the candidates are under so much pressure, they're running out of time, and they just don't see what's in front of them. Roll the tape, Anne.
When you're selecting a baby food, you want something that is healthy, you want it to be made from quality ingredients, and that's why we've created first-time foodies.
Now, the most important thing about a label is essentially having all the information on there so that the parent can make an informed decision when they are picking up your brand or whether they would like to invest in your brand or not.
So I think it's time to address the elephant in the room. You have 1 or 2 seconds to grab a parent when they're browsing an incredibly crowded market on our website. Your logo, in that instance, reads "First Time Dies." I think you should probably try and explain to us how you didn't pick that up.
We didn't foresee that, but if it was an issue for you, as this is just a prototype, we can certainly figure a way out where it would be more appropriate for you so that it is clear that it says foodies and doesn't mention that word.
So the logo's unfinished, the packaging's unfinished. Do you think it's particularly professional?
Completely understand what you're saying, and as we said, we can refine that from your feedback.
Thank you so
much for your
Thank
time.
Okay, so we have a huge issue with the word dies, okay? We're going to have to say, by the way, the intention is to move these bulbs to the
I
side.
don't think we should highlight it because in the next pitch they may not notice that.
It's really difficult to not notice that.
Yeah, but you say that, but none of us 3 noticed it.
Okay, it's just there are some major issues with that packaging. We're going to have to try and build that into our pitch somehow. The biggest issue is, from this label, it looks like we want to kill children. So we are going to really have to think about this in the next pitch. This is the one thing that could really make or break us.
Oh, that's magic.
Good.
Wow. And that feels like a task that we see that task is one of the fan favourites, I think. How do you manage to keep them fresh so that we, hopefully get moments like that forevermore?
I think what we're trying to do all the time is, and we touched on it before, is move with the times.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to kind of stay relevant, stay current. We're looking at what's on trend, in terms of the food, or we're looking at what's on trend in terms of the tech that's coming through. So I think it's constantly looking at the business market, constantly looking at the business models that are out there, and then trying to find things that we can turn around, because obviously, we film these tasks over 2 days. These are not, we haven't got a lot of time to do these things. So 2 days, and then we generally hit the boardroom. So what can we create? What market can we go into where we can create a product within 12 to 24 hours? So that's kind of what we're trying to do all the time.
Like biscuits.
Like biscuits, yeah. Yeah, like gingerbread, maybe.
Karren, in your experience, the business fundamentals that candidates kind of consistently get wrong when doing the tasks, are there specific ones that you see on a loop?
I think Paul's right. They're under pressure. I mean, I was actually following that team when they were designing the logo, and I could see it as clear as day. And I just thought to myself, why can't they see it? I mean, they just, and that is often what happens. They get so bogged down in the process, they forget actually to look up occasionally. And as Lord Sugar would say, fresh eyes. Have a quick rethink. But the mistakes they make are fundamentally no clear plan. No clear plan from the outset, no clear direction to one another. So one thinks they're going off to do this and the other thinks they're going off to do that, and then there's a disaster somewhere in the middle, and stupid mistakes like that.
Do you ever feel, because you can see, I mean, your face doesn't lie, and so do you ever in the moment want to, get involved, help a girl out?
Well, no, not really. And I don't say that because I'm not a mean person. In real life, I'd help anyone achieve anything, and I would want nothing more than to help them. But it's not fair on the candidates, because Alan knows he could go into business with me because he's known me for almost 40 years and we know each other well. It's them he wants to go into business. So if I'm stepping in and helping them, I think the only time I ever stepped in was when they were going to produce a television advert for jeans. And they turned up at the studio, they had their model, but they didn't have their jeans. And I said to them, you're going to make a television advert about jeans and you've forgotten your jeans. And they were like, They'd left them on a wall at the previous location, and nobody had realised. And then you have to, they have to try, and that's a problem they have to solve. And very often, when they've ordered the wrong ingredients or added up the numbers wrong, you have to step in. But it's not because you want to be mean or you want to see them fail. Quite the opposite. I want to see them be successful. I want them to showcase themselves well. I want them to put everything on the table to give themselves every opportunity to get the money and get the investment and win the process.
But put dyes on a baby food jar, you're on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's fair.
You have to draw the line.
Absolutely. Those water cooler moments like that, Paul, do you attempt when producing to kind of reverse engineer, or are you hoping that you create the setting and they emerge naturally?
I think I could be the best planner and script writer in the world and you wouldn't get first-time dies. I think what we try and do, Francesca and I as a team, is we try and cast the best candidates. We try and come up with the best tasks to try and give them the best opportunity to do the best job. But because of the time pressure that they're under, in terms of what they have to do, that all in, if it's a bunch of ingredients, you throw that all into a blender, and then you just let it happen, and you just sit back. Because I think if you're confident in your process and confident in your processes, things like that will inevitably happen, and you can just sit back and enjoy it. But we never sit down and go, what's our water cooler moment going to be for this series? Because they happen on a day-to-day basis, and these guys see it all the time. I mean, sometimes I'll get a phone call saying, you will not believe this. And I'm like, show me. Yes. So it's a real treat. And I think it's testament to the team and the planning and everything that people put in place to then just be able to let it happen. And that's the joy.
And obviously, while these are unfolding in the tasks, you're feeding back to Lord Sugar. He's aware of everything that's happening. But his role editorially in the boardroom, what can you tell us about that?
So it's one of the best jobs in the world to just sit and watch him in the boardroom. So the process works that Karren and Tim will follow the candidates across 2 days, and then we'll get a sense from the directors on the ground and also from Karren and Tim what they're seeing and what's going on. And then on a boardroom day, we all go to the boardroom and we'll have a face-to-face meeting, and Karren and Tim will basically just talk through what each of their teams have done. And then he, literally, he's got an A4 bit of paper, he draws a line down the middle, and he'll just do bullet points on each team. And we have an hour, and then he'll go into the boardroom, and we just sit back. And that's all we do. There's no earpiece. There's nobody running in and out. You just sit there and you get your cup of tea and you just watch it. And there's so many times, and again, I mean, Karren and Tim have been there. They're in there, but we're like, he's not, is he? Oh my God, he has. Wow. And so you are watching live telly, and you are at the same time kind of tense, watching it play out, and it's a real privilege.
I would add one other thing. None of us know who's going to be fired. No, there's no pre-agreement. Oh, I'm going to get rid of so and so. I'm going to go. He gives everyone a chance. He asks the questions he wants to ask. If he knows something like that's happened, he wants to know why, who, how. But none of us know, and sometimes we think it's going in one direction, and then it goes in a complete other direction.
It's a really extraordinary thing to watch. And I think because he's on television a lot, people forget Lord Sugar is not a presenter. Yeah. He's a business person. And so what's really amazing is to watch you guys in that environment, and he's reacting to what's happening in the room. And that's why sometimes people we don't think are getting fired get fired, or vice versa, because they might save themselves in the room. They might, do themselves in the room.
They might make a deal.
They might make a deal. And he reacts to all that as it's happening.
I love when he goes rogue, though. Triple firing, you're like, whoa, I don't know if we have enough left.
Stop. But what I would say, which Karren and Tim don't see on the other side as well, just to add, is that the gasps in the gallery sometimes are tangible. Like, you literally do get that. and you've got about, I don't know, 15 or 20 people in there, and it's exciting.
It's like watching telly.
Yeah.
But also, it is magic. It's back to that authenticity piece. It's knowing that actually this is, because there's something real at stake, he's in there for himself. It's not for telly. It's almost by accident, which I think is what makes it so.
Well, you've been on the other
enduring.
side of the boardroom, so
Lads.
you know.
You all have.
Yes.
You've all been on the other side of the table.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, how for you, Tim, full circle, did you know when you sat and you got, the right result, did you imagine that you'd be here 20 years later? Did you imagine the show would be here? Did you imagine what? I mean, you couldn't write it.
You couldn't. Listen, I was a very wet behind the ear East Londoner who lived in a one-bedroom flat in Manor Park, who put an application form and then wanted to have a go. That was it. And to then get the call to come back, obviously, God bless Claude, because he got the injury at the time, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a wind-up moment because he phoned me and said, "Tim, I need you to do something." And I thought it was a joke because I'm waiting for Jeremy Beadle or someone to come out and say, "Aha, we got you." But it turned out to be really real. And I took it as a real honour because I think what we understand is that Lord Sugar really values loyalty, and he's got a very small circle of people that he trusts in certain situations. And I was really grateful to come in and get amazing advice from Karren, because I walked in with I was like, what the hell is happening here? Because I've only been on the other side of the table and I had no clue what was happening. And Karren, you were so kind to me. I'll never forget that. Because I was like, what do I do? What do I say? How's it going to work? And Karren said, it'll be okay. This is the process. This is how we do it. And you really took me under, and I'm so grateful for that. But the responsibility of following those candidates is very important to me personally, because I understand the transformational impact and how valuable it is to get his guidance one-on-one. That is something that is worth much more than the money. And he doesn't do things half-heartedly. If he says he's in there, if he says he's going to give you his people to take all the back-end stuff away, if he says he's going to give you, he is going to do that. And the impact that's made on people's lives is really obvious to see in the businesses that have been successful, the ones that have exited, the people who have gone on to do great things. So I sit on that side, really privileged and grateful, but also really expectant of those candidates to do everything, because I know what it actually means and the difference it can actually make.
So when it goes wrong, do you then empathise? Do you have more empathy because you've been in their shoes? Or does that feel like a distant memory?
I'm quite glad someone else get to experience the same stuff, to be perfectly fair. No, but to Karren's point again, this isn't a small prize. This is £250,000, an investment from one of the UK's most successful entrepreneurs. So this is something you can't just find at a Christmas cracker or something, this is a big deal. So actually, when people are making mistakes or not doing 100% or going off piece, I get quite annoyed because I really understand the value of what's actually happening. But I also empathise because the pressure that they are under to deliver stuff. The thing that I took away, the most important thing I took away from the process is that you reevaluate what you can do with 24 hours. Because going through that process, you come out having a huge respect about what you can do if you really focus. Because what the team do beautifully is present really stretching targets for these candidates. When they look at those dossiers, they think, oh my gosh, there's no way I could do this. But by the end of it, when they've come out of that boardroom, after however many hours under the spotlight, they're changed. They're different. And every person who's gone through the process says they look at the world completely differently as a result, because it's a unique experience to be tested.
And I think they all always say to us how much they've learned. And how much the process has benefited them, because they find out the things they're capable of that they didn't know they could do. They didn't know they could stand up and present. They didn't know they could design, a fitness game. They didn't know they could create, whatever it is, whatever they're being asked to do. They didn't know they had the ability to do it until they come on this process, and it teaches them what they're capable of, and it's a very valuable lesson.
I think I've been, obviously just joined in a small way this year, and kind of staggered and struck by how invested each and every member is in it. And I think that comes through, even when we were talking about female entrepreneurs, and I feel like that speaks to you on a very deep level, Karren. And, there's a sense that actually what you guys are doing, making telly is almost an aside. What you're doing is changing actually the landscape of maybe that feels too big a statement, but actually it matters. And to have that sort of effect in telly feels, very hopeful and kind of moving that it still matters.
It does matter. And I can assure you, Lord Sugar does not need to do a television programme. He really doesn't. Yeah. And to some respects, nor do I, and nor does him. We do it because, one, we respect him very much, and he's asked us to do it, and we want to do it for him. And two, because we genuinely believe in the process. We believe that somebody will go through the process, get the investment, and change their life. It's happened. It's happened 20 times. Well, it will happen 20 times on Thursday. So we know it's a process that works, and we all care about it. And I cannot tell you how proud I am to be involved in the show and have been involved, and the closeness between us all, the support we all give each other. It's a tough show. This is not turn up, have a look and leave. This is 14-hour days,
roll up
7 days a week for 2 months. This is a huge, huge show and a huge commitment, and you do not do it because you want to be on the TV. You do it because you believe the process. You want to work with a great team of people, and the respect we all have for Lord Sugar.
It has, absolutely, and I think also it has changed the landscape. And if we take the issue of women in business, young women watching, aspiring entrepreneurs can watch television, watch The Apprentice, and see, in the case of Series 20, 10 female entrepreneurs on the television every week. That didn't happen before The Apprentice. And now it's par for the course for us.
Ethnic diversity, different ages, different careers. It's so important. Lord Sugar was talking about equality before it was cool. He did it. He had 10 people, equal sexes on either side, who came from different backgrounds. I had INSEAD graduates against people who had no qualifications, mums, single parents. He didn't care. He didn't care. He was like, can you do the job? And now it's become the cool thing, but he was doing that way before anyone was even talking about it.
And just to add to that, and just another little spoiler from Unfinished Business, because Angela sits down with Lord Sugar for a face-to-face, and
he's wearing a cardigan.
He's wearing his cardigan because he feels comfortable.
I like it.
But in that, he makes the point that he still gets the buzz. Like, if he can change a young person's life, and if he can go into business with them and make a difference, he still gets the buzz. And if he didn't get the buzz, then he wouldn't do it. And that's one of the reasons why actually we're all here, because he still wants to make a difference.
We've got a game, guys. Which weirdly feels odd now, given that that really moved me. But we'll play a game. Bucket, in for a penny, in for a pence. Okay, here's how it's going to work. I am going to read out a statement, and you're going to tell me whether it is true or false. Okay? So maybe if you think it's true, put up your hand. Otherwise, it doesn't really work, does it? So, the boardroom phone really works. Do we think that is true, or is it false? True. Hands up, lads. Okay, that's looking true-ish.
It is true. And actually, we were filming once, and it rang.
It was so funny. And Lord Sugar was like,
hello. Sorry, I think you got the wrong number. So no, it's 100%.
And they'll never know. They'll never know they're called Lord Sugar mid-boardroom. It was really funny.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, the candidates have a lot more time to get ready than what you see on screen. This gets a lot of airtime. Is it true they get a lot more time, or is it false? False. So someone rolls in, they get the phone call, you're in the car in 15 minutes. True or false?
False. So what we always say is the cars will be outside in 20 minutes. And then, obviously, the cars pull up. And then, obviously, we've got to drag them out of bed. But they don't get a lot more time, I'm going to be fair. They don't get a lot more time.
Okay. So
maybe 45 minutes
in
to
their
an hour.
defence, it takes us a few minutes to film them walking out, film them
Yeah,
getting into the
yeah,
car. You know, that car stuff takes a minute.
But what is true is that some of the girls do go to bed ready.
Like Mariah Carey.
They're like
dressed. Nobody move me.
Yeah, they're waiting for like 4:30 and then like away they go.
Sleeping with one eye open.
There's a couple of boys.
Yeah. Oh, the boys are the worst. Believe me, the boys are the worst.
The one thing I would say is when the narrator says, it's 4:30 a.m. It really is 4:30 a.m. I mean, that is not a lie.
Business doesn't sleep.
No.
The You're Hired moment is filmed with both candidates, both finalists, to avoid spoilers.
Oh, 50-50.
It's a 50-50, I'd say. Is it true or false?
We're not telling you. It's true.
It's true.
True. Yeah. Okay, it's got to be, right? The boardroom drama is scripted, including the jokes. I feel like you've, kind of... It's all...
I mean, no.
No.
It's no.
Totally false.
Oh, what about the suitcases? Sorry, this is one of mine. That they wheel around London. Are they empty or are they full?
Empty.
Empty. Okay, very good. Right, on we move. Tim, do you want to give us a little teaser to your favourite moment?
Yeah, I think in addition to some great things being created on the show, and we've got to balance it out. There's some amazing deals that are done, record-breaking numbers. There are obviously some situations that don't go to plan. And one of the big things I like about the show is that they get the ability to create brands from absolutely nothing. But the colours and choices of some of the things they choose can leave a lot to be desired.
Have you seen it?
Branding, very strong. Ship and mindfulness.
Okay.
So those two elements we have captured beautifully and very cleverly. You'll see it.
Here is never-ending nautical.
Guys, what is that?
Well, we have somebody here doing a yoga pose, but then it transitions into the water, the cruise element, and I would say the unique selling point about our experience is the health and well-being.
With luxury. Akeem, I'm very disappointed with this logo. It does not scream luxury cruise, which is showing the key pillars which I kept banging on about. Guys, look, we have what we have, and we're just gonna have to do a good job and completely smash it.
I think the colours look a little bit what we call probably a PVI, or a public vomiting incident.
Okay. And what's the name?
Why is it not there?
That's a very good point.
Because it's brown and it's a bit curved, I don't see how I would pay X thousands of pounds to holiday with a company with a logo with a turd in it.
Oh my God. It's magic.
That was one of the moments. Sorry, Tim, to take you there. But I was actually following that team. That was one of the calls that Paul was talking about earlier when you phoned to say, you're not going to believe what's happened. That was one of the
Telly gold. Some impressive stats. I know we've touched on this a little bit on the share. 6.4 million viewers with 16 to 34s, which is not insignificant at all in this day and age. It's like the thing, isn't it? And again, I think, maybe we've hit on why it resonates. How do we continue to make it resonate?
It's hard. I mean, we continue to evaluate the business landscape. We continue to cast credible, confident, outgoing candidates, and continue to move with the times, as the guys have said before. As soon as we stop trying to be current, and as soon as we rest on our laurels, then we become irrelevant. And with the that 16 to 34 audience, as we said before, they won't tolerate sitting on your hands and not moving with the times. And so I think we just continue to be imaginative and hopefully kind of front foot thinking, I guess.
And I think Lord Sugar throughout the series often refers to a spirit. It feels like he responds to spiritedness and that kind of energy almost above anything else. And I feel like there's an energy with this team that is focused on ensuring, you know, future-proofing of the show.
Totally. And I think as caretakers of the brand, we all take that responsibility incredibly seriously. And if you think, you know, what's good about having got to 20 series is that it shows that we're doing something right. If you think about the number of brands that are still on air, you know, at 20 series, there aren't many.
Yeah.
It's a handful.
Yeah.
And we're up there with them. And that's because we work so hard to stay relevant, stay current, and stay focused.
I think the picture says it all, really, for me. When I speak to young people, whether they're at university, college, or sometimes still at school, they all can recognise somebody who has won the show. Because success is the gravitational pull, I think, around the brand and what Lord Sugar invests into. Because if he invested in donuts and they failed businesses and they didn't work, you couldn't buy into the robustness of the process. And the reality, whatever you think about the candidates at the beginning, by the end of the process, at that lovely stage we all like to see, the interview stage, they have viable businesses that need to get potential investment from Lord Sugar. And when you think about last year, yes, you've got Dean, who's doing fantastically well with his air conditioning business. I went to see him. He's doing like really well. He's not messing around. But also, from the young lady who came second, she's gone from a couple of pizza retail outlets to 11. So everybody in that process is a brand ambassador for the show because they are a testament to the robustness of the process. And I think to what you do, just keep doing it, because the fact is getting those candidates, getting the people, getting the businesses to apply where the opportunity cost is quite high for those individuals, the results speak for themselves, because you've got great people who Lord Sugar is helped to be better and go on to do fantastic things.
And to go on to do over 550 million worth of sales and generated 100 million worth of profit in the last
jobs,
15 years. So it's not, it's massive. Can I
just say one more thing just about about trying to keep the series relevant? I think also we want to stick to what we do well, but we're also open to, I don't know, for want of a better word, creative renewal, right? So if you look at season 20, for those of you who have been watching, the boardroom in Hong Kong was the first time we did a pop-up boardroom outside of London. So we started, even in season 20, to start pushing the boundaries of what's possible and what we can do. On the boardroom day, we're now filming more actuality at the house, and we're filming with the candidates to get a sense of how they feel post-task and pre-boardroom. We didn't do that before. Now, these are all things that kind of start to add to the drama, feed into the anticipation of the boardroom. So we're already doing those things, and we kind of looked at it in season 20 and started to move forward, and it will be the same as we go forward into season 21. How do we maybe bring more actuality, reality, understand a bit more about the candidates, what they do back at the house? All that stuff is things that we're exploring, as well as sticking to the stuff that we know that the audience loves. So it's a balance, but we're definitely already tweaking and looking to do the same as we go into season 21.
And I think it's intriguing for people, viewers, to see them out of the boardroom, out of their gear, away from the task, and see the friendships and relationships and the real people come through as well. It's very valuable. We're going to go to Q&A very shortly, so get yourselves prepped. Karen, that sounded menacing, sorry. Karen, do you want to introduce your favourite moment?
Well, I picked this as a typical example of not having a plan, a typical example of not being organised, a typical example of not communicating who's doing what, who's in charge of what, and what can go wrong if you don't have that plan.
Okay, let's see.
Make it a little bit thinner so it cooks through.
Finessing their fish cakes.
No. Keep it that size.
Okay.
Flat,
Right, you went
flat,
there
flat,
yesterday,
flat,
can you-
flat.
Onyeka's half of the girls.
Breadcrumbs not the right. The
Yeah.
frying's not right.
Something's not right.
Yeah.
It's not nice.
Raj?
Yeah?
The crumble for the rhubarb, is it finished?
Crumble for the rhubarb. I'm not sure where the crumble is. Hang on 1 second.
It's not that one.
It's going to be here somewhere.
I think you finished. Is it done?
No, I didn't finish it.
Are you sure?
Definitely didn't. Just have a look over there. Are they any in that plastic box over there, the white one?
The girls have been using crumble, which is sweet, on the fish cakes because they thought they were breadcrumbs. The client wants a 5-star experience. Well, I don't think you can give any stars to crumble on a fish cake.
The knowing eye flares, it's like disgust. I love it. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, any questions? Lots of questions. Okay, we've got roving microphones. If you want to go, yeah, straight. This guy here on the right-hand side, yeah. And lady here on the left-hand side. Go ahead. If you introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Paul Craig, RTS member and exec producer for lower to zero budget independent film. It's a long story. But anyway, how has the whole production process kept up with production costs over the 20 series?
In what sense do you mean?
Just obviously things becoming, well, in a technology sense, I suppose, smaller, better cameras versus basically labour costs.
Mm-hmm. I think we're like everybody. We kind of, we've got our set budget for the series, and so we're always looking at ways to basically be efficient like everybody. So we're looking at what can deliver the best output in terms of cameras for the most efficient price. That will be the same with the audio equipment that we use, or when we're out and about in terms of pulling the tasks together. I think it's just been mindful because obviously we are a production, we are a business, and therefore we're just trying to get basically the best output for the best, kind of like a most efficient price, I guess. Like any business, I mean, the one thing Lord Sugar, taught me was kind of like being able to manage those costs and delivery. So that's kind of what we do.
We've been helped by the advances in technology as well, because they've made tasks possible that when I started on the show were absolutely not possible. And so things have become more affordable, which means that we can roll them into tasks, thank goodness, which is very exciting.
And a couple of examples, actually, just to finish on that, actually, is a good point. Like things like apps, which would normally have taken years ago tens of thousands of pounds for us to be able to do, or coding of something, people can do in a laptop. Even creating a brand or creating a logo, it's someone on a laptop, and you can still. You wouldn't think it, but you can create some really good stuff.
It sometimes happens.
You can do it, so that good point. That makes it much easier for us to deliver some really good tasks.
Great, thank you. Next question here, and Mike over here, please. Thank you.
Okay. So my name is Dominic Davis, aka Variety D. I'm probably the odd one out in this room because it seems too serious. I'm a comedian. I'm the odd one out. Don't know why I'm here. Oh wait, no, I'm with my brother. He loves Apprentice. So I'm here to ask you a question from someone who doesn't really watch Apprentice that much anymore, or hear about it on the socials, because I'm doing shows. That's why. Okay. So my question is, can you see, if it hasn't been done already, a crossover of The Apprentice meets Dragon's Den, and why? This is for all of you, by the way.
What an excellent question.
Great question.
Also, hi Tim. I ain't seen you since RTS Awards. You right?
I'm very well. How are you? I'm an RTS supporter, you see, through and through. I think that the beauty of what the BBC have with regards to business shows is that there are separate audiences for separate things. What you see with both shows is showing behind the scenes what normal people would not get to see in those particular environments. So you don't usually get to sit in on an investor pitch and see the decisions that are made. You very rarely get to sit in how you create a business from scratch and go off and do it. So we give the viewer a unique insight into actually what happens. So I think those audiences should be separate because they serve two very separate purposes. But I think the reason, and this is obviously not because I'm biased, but I think it's factual, with The Apprentice, you get both of those potential scenarios in one. Because Lord Sugar is the investor and he is looking for his ideal investment. He's just in a very privileged position where he gets 12 weeks to assess which one he's going to invest in the first place. So that is the most unique position you could ever go into. Try before you buy. We do it. We would love to do it in the shopping, and he gets to do it with his business. So I don't think you need to hypothesize about what that would look like, because you actually get it with The Apprentice. But I think the pure disciplines of investment versus build something from scratch and see where you're going to partner with someone, I think they deserve to be in separate audiences. Great to see you.
Still an appetite for it as well, right? Next question here, and if you want to go to this gentleman here,
Andrew Eborn, Octopus TV, and occasionally I host the RTS London podcast. A couple of interrelated questions. You talk about the candidates and lessons they've learned. I'd be really interested to hear what lessons you've learned over the years. And also, secondly, it's a phenomenal format internationally. In America, you've created an extraordinary person who dominates the headlines every single day. To what extent do you compare notes internationally on the format and learn lessons from them?
Are you calling Trump for no?
Or he's not on us.
Yeah.
We had nothing to do with it.
That's not our fault. We don't share ideas or any thoughts with any of our kind of international colleagues, or in America. We kind of because obviously the market's very different as well, and how we produce our series is very kind of I guess ob-doc-led, in that sense. So we let things play out, and then we get, Karen and Tim's opinions on what's going on. So we make it in a very, very different way. So we kind of stick to what we do and what we know, and we leave America to do their thing. In terms of learnings,
I think the biggest learning, what you taught me actually, is don't think you can pick the winner at the beginning of the race, because everyone says from day one. And Karen wisely said, Tim, just don't even think about it, because people learn, they develop at different rates, they make mistakes, they come back again. Some people are flying high, then crash and burn. So actually, you just let the process take its course, because the process is robust enough to get to the right people and the right decisions at the end of the day, because it's about Lord Sugar and his investment rather than what we might think or feel. So don't try and second guess it.
Two practical things I think I've learned. One, I can't wear heels, which is why I'm always in trainers. And my mantra for television, being in television, is hurry up and wait. Because you're always being told, get somewhere. And when you get there, you're waiting around. So I guess the thing I've learned is patience.
Bring a book.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Hi, my name is William. My question's about sort of the production you put into each task and how much preparation you do for that, especially on the scavenger hunts. Do you make sure that there are some items that maybe there's only one of available in the location? And secondly, if I may, why have you taken away a treat for the winning team?
So discount buying. I like scavenger hunt though. Gives it a different flavour.
Yeah.
I can speak to the treat, which is part of that thing of reflecting evolving audiences. So we lost the treat part of the format from Series 20, and that was to include, so that we had that space, that minute, to include extra actuality, extra insight into how they're feeling on the morning of the boardroom, whatever it is, which is sort of reflects the changing viewer taste. So I think instead of a sort of formatted cheers, they'd rather see how X was feeling on the morning of the boardroom, whether Y was going to be sick down themselves out of terror. They'd rather see and have that insight, and also see that banter between them, than sort of have a formatted hooray.
Drunk soft play, overrated.
And they're quite tired by that point.
Well, also, I was going to say, so to that point as well, if you ask the candidates from before season 20, sometimes obviously the treats for a practical reason would happen, not straight after a boardroom, and sometimes they just want to do their washing. Sometimes they just want to do the practical stuff, and not have to go off and film the treats. So you're kind of trying to get the balance right for them as well, in terms of their commitment to the process. And then in terms of the 9 items, we. When we're preparing these tasks, a lot of comments you sometimes on social media is that the tasks are impossible, but we trial the 9 items. We will make sure that it is doable, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And so we'll make sure that whatever we set them to do, we can do. We know how many bao buns we can make in 3 hours because we go and do it. You know, we know what we can create in terms of a children's book because we do it, and not doing it in a way where we're known. You know, we use people on the team who've got nothing to do with that particular task, and they just go out and they make it. And so therefore we know the parameters in the same amount of time, because we're not setting people up to fail. You know, as Karen and Tim said, we want them to do a really good bloody job. But when they're under pressure and they don't have a lot of time, sometimes mistakes are made. But we also celebrate. You know, we celebrate when people do a good job, and we want people to root for them because ultimately, as Tim said earlier, 250 grand is at stake. So it's no use to anybody if nobody's any good, because then, you know, the whole process is flawed. Thank you for your question.
We've got one more question. So the first person to their feet is going to get the mic. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Do you know what, though? The vigor with which you went, I'm going to give you one too. Go.
Yeah, it's fair.
Daniel Toole, I used to work at the BBC, now I run Latin dance festivals, but nothing to do with this.
Love that.
We can talk after. I'm interested in the reality format, and there's often a tension between this sort of authenticity and drama. And on other reality shows, sometimes what I've heard happens is people get very tired and very drunk and the drama just happens. So I just wanted your view on how you're balancing the pressure of the task and the resultant drama, which is good for tally, but you know, how you're fine-tuning that in your version of reality.
That's a good question.
I think where we're lucky, and obviously I don't know what you think, Francesca, but where we're lucky is that we don't have to force anything in that sense. And so, you know, the hardest job for us is to try and, you know, if they've got an hour to create a name and a logo, then the hardest job is to actually get the essence of that into 50-second scenes. And so that's the kind of the biggest challenge, I would say. We're not, you know, we're not over, you know, cutting something or manufacturing. No, it's not that kind of process. It's a lot more obdocky, which is why I love it, actually. And I've worked on lots of different shows over the last 25 years, but I think that's what the joy is of the edit. And also we have a lot to do. You need to understand who's chosen to make the penguin, who's decided to make it green, as well as all the other stuff.
I didn't put lemon oil in it.
Yeah. so it's all that stuff. So we kind of let it play out, I think, which is why the authenticity that Karen and Tim, and also it's great that they're there because they can see it, you know, a lot of the time. So I would say it's that. I don't know if you disagree or agree.
No, I totally agree. It's you're watching a distilled version of what happens. Yeah. Obviously, the task takes 2 days, and we have to distill that into 38 minutes of task before we get to the boardroom, and so it's just the distilled version of what happens. Yeah.
I think what I would, sorry Tim, I think what I would say though is obviously the candidates, when they're in it, you know, because these things are quite complicated. I think, you know, sometimes people could be in a scene and be talking about things, but obviously in the distilled process, they might feel that they're not in it as much as they were actually in the hour scene. So I think people will always have a different take on how much they were in it or how much they weren't in it, but we're trying to tell the story of the boardroom, which is the other great thing for us, because the boardroom for everybody is their right to reply. So if someone says anything in that boardroom that they don't agree with, then that is their opportunity to say, actually, I don't agree with that. So that is the joy for us, that wherever that boardroom is, we then work our way back and tell the story of what happens in the boardroom.
Although they can sometimes have different versions of the truth in the boardroom, which we catch.
True.
I think the beauty of this show is that there is no gotcha, because if somebody does really well, that's also a win. And I think we've got to balance this out. Everyone's looking for the funny car crashes, but when they also win, we win. Yeah. So it doesn't matter to us what they do, because the end result, whether it's good or bad, is going to get the reaction that we actually want. But if they win, they get as many plaudits and applause from us as if when they get criticism and chastised when they don't work. So we don't have to manufacture anything, is where I think you're coming from, because whatever happens, we tell the story.
Yeah.
And I think you had the last one.
Last one, go. Let's get the mic over to you. Spirit, that's what we're celebrating.
My name's Rootbride. I'm a hair and makeup artist, but the question that I have is, what one piece of advice would you give to someone applying for the show?
Have you applied?
Great. Hey, I like your style,
It was
girl.
a tough interview process, I'll tell you that.
I like that.
Over to you guys. I mean,
yeah.
I think the thing I'd say is, you've got to be clear about why do you want to be in this process. As we started out the conversation, the opportunity cost for all of us, you included, is massive. You could be anywhere in the world doing anything. So if you're going to apply for the show, you have to really kind of know why do you want to do that. And I'd probably want to, might be a small thing that might make a difference, understand why do you want Lord Sugar as your business partner? Because that's the ultimate prize. And if you haven't got that clearly articulated, you're going to kind of find it a little harder to get through the process, I think.
If it were me, I'd put myself forward as project manager every task, because that's how you get the most time with Lord Sugar.
Charisma.
Yeah, you put yourself forward every task, you take control, the responsibility is yours. If you back yourself to be good enough, you'll win, you'll get more face time with him, more conversation time. So that would be my advice.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Hope we'll be seeing you on the telly soon. That brings us to the end of the evening, gang. A massive thank you to our wonderful panel, Paul, Francesca, Karen and Tim.